All right, Tuesday morning, you're very welcome along to OTB AM. It's Jerry Gilroy. I'm here with you all the way through until 10 o'clock this morning, kind of. Shane's here too. Shane.
Oh yeah, good morning.
Colm's also here.
Jared and Shane, good morning.
The England captain gets away with a lot of stuff, doesn't he?
Harry Kane is increasingly a disgrace.
Ooh. Now,
When it comes to that element of his game, he's
what are you
clearly
going to do when he signs for Man United? You'll be like, yeah, the dark arts. He's got a winner's mentality. Him and Casemiro are exactly what this club needs.
I don't think any fan of any team when there's a player in the team, like say Anthony for Manchester United goes down easily, you're just looking at him going, get up, come on.
So people waking up who went to bed early,
I wouldn't have seen it.
who might not have seen this yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've all seen it. But anyway, if you haven't, what happened?
Big result for Everton, I would say. Last minute equaliser for Michael Keane, an absolute thunderbolt from the blue to rescue a point for Sean Dyche and co. Both teams down to 10 men. Lucas Moura sent off late for Spurs, but the incident that kind of got everyone talking was Abdoulaye Doucouré getting sent off for Everton. Harry Kane, I think it was the sending off was probably correct in that Doucouré kind of not scratched his face but had a claw out on Harry Kane's face. But to say he overdid it with the reaction would be putting it slightly mildly.
There's potential contact with the eye area.
Yeah, that probably.
If you come into work and stick your finger in my eye, I am rolling around the floor.
You're not.
I am rolling around the floor theatrically, going, "Oh no, it's the end of the world! Someone stuck their finger in my eye."
But what if there's like 70,000 or not maybe 40,000 people watching you?
Baying for my blood.
Maybe, yeah.
The reaction would depend on who's watching.
It would.
For
So,
sure. If it was just the two of you.
More people watching, more theatrics. I think. Look, he definitely goes down far too easy. The fact that he's lying on the ground prone is, I think, Danny Murphy's called it embarrassing. He was doing the radio commentary. I don't know who was doing the TV commentary, the co-com. I didn't recognise the voice.
No, neither.
But they recognise immediately that Doucouré's in trouble. But also there's kind of a silence where it's like, not sure you're supposed to be going down like that. The reaction from Sean Dyche is priceless, and also Seamus Coleman making sure that everybody's aware that you can't be doing that. No.
I think Jimmy Carragher's reaction after the match was like, he summed it up. He was like, if my kid was playing a match and he go back into the car after the game, I'd say to him, what were you doing there? Like, if he did what Harry Kane did. And I think that sums it up. If we had kids at a match at under 10 level and they went down that easily because they watched Harry Kane maybe on TV and saw him do it.
Yeah, but
like,
if Harry Kane hadn't gone down and Doucouré hadn't been sent off and,
Scores the penalty 10 minutes later. Miraculously, by the way, Harry Kane was okay. Can I just say, Harry Kane was fine. He didn't need hospital treatment. He got up and scored a penalty 10 minutes later. A beautiful penalty, I have to say, past Jordan Pickford. But it just leaves a bad taste. There's no point talking about diving in football for too long because it's not going to go away anytime soon. But it's a bit of and it's even sometimes the diving I understand almost in a weird way. It's when you get tapped and you overstate the physical contact that has been done on you.
It was a nasty enough game. In the first half, a ball gets chipped into the penalty area. Everton are attacking, and Coleman kind of goes down and has like screaming at the referee. And then about 2 minutes later, Coleman has one of those tackles where I can't actually remember who. Oh, Perisic. It's he catches Perisic on the front of the football boot around the metatarsal area, and it's a hard old tackle.
Yeah,
and Perisic, but it's not even a booking. It could definitely have been a booking, and the commentators like, oh, it's definitely not. It doesn't rise to the level of a red card because it's not high enough. Hold my beer, says the Moura challenge in the second half. Is like, oh, that's what a red card challenge looks like.
That was a red card.
I really appreciate that the whole scenario. It was just such an accepted red card by everyone. It's nice to see, actually. He came in way too late. Straight away, the ref pulls out the red. Moore is devastated, walks off, done. Wouldn't you love to see more of that? I'm very grateful that the Doucouré Kane incident happened right next to the managers. That was fantastic theatre.
Adds to it.
Very grateful that it was right there. And then, as Gerard already said, Sean Dyche and Seamus Coleman laying into Harry. Well done, Harry. Well done. Sean says. Harry Kane, by the way, doesn't flinch. Does not flinch.
No.
And he's right beside him. The other thing as well, I was thinking...
So you desperately want him to sign for Manchester United to bring such shithousery to Old Trafford?
No, I get annoyed at the favourable treatment that Harry Kane gets in the British media. But it did lead me to think, what would we say if Seamus Coleman did the same thing? how would we react to it? How would we be talking about it today? Now, Shane, you'll say to me, Seamus Coleman would never, Colm, he would never do that. But if Harry Kane stays on his feet and reacts as you imagine he would have based on what Doucouré actually did, would Doucouré have been sent off?
Well, I think if Harry Kane reacts the way most people react, he's given Doucouré a dig and then he's getting sent off. Do you know what I mean? There's like he is operating at a higher level than us mere mortals who, you know, have not lived through this and don't really know what we would do when his job is to cheat because the cheating has been allowed. I think to Shane's point, like there's no point in talking about diving in football anymore because the game is gone.
Yeah, we're way beyond that.
And so therefore the rules of engagement are if he doesn't go down, like say Conte was still there, right, and he didn't go down, what is Conte saying to him afterwards?
Yeah, not street smart.
You should have got this guy sent off.
We're not wise
We would have won
enough.
that game.
We're too naive.
Qualification for the Champions League is worth between 40 to 60 million to this football club. What are you doing?
This was labelled at Mauricio Pochettino's Tottenham.
It was
too green.
It was the same amount of contact. It was the year. Remember, years ago, Tiernan McCann went down under Darren Hughes' little tapped him in the head, and then he went down.
In fairness, Doucouré has his fingers in his face.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you are putting fingers in the face, you're getting sent off.
It was a complete red. It was a total red card, but it got a bit existential. It was like when Macaulay Culkin wears the Macaulay Culkin T-shirt, right? Because the first reaction is Harry Kane goes down easy, and then everybody here in this country is like, Harry Kane is so ridiculous, like, and nobody will have a bad word to say about him in England. And even on commentary, which by the way was Andy Hinchcliffe, his co-commentator. You know, they didn't really lay into Harry. You know, it was kind of like, well, that's a red card all day. And then you're thinking, well, if it's the other way around, Doucouré would have got it. But then I'm thinking, well, we're all saying in this country, like, oh, of course, Kane gets favourable treatment. So now we're honing in on Kane.
Well, sorry. We all remember Alan Shearer literally kicked the head off Neil Lennon one time, and nothing happened because he was the England captain. He was like, that was it. They're on the sideline. Lennon's face is there on the sideline, and next thing it's like back into
they're
the
untouchable.
Left, back into the left.
Yeah,
you get there are certain super bonus points for being the England captain, and Harry Kane is aware of this, but so is everybody who plays against him. And the game stay the game. It is interesting that at least there are some people in the English football media saying this is unacceptable, but nothing's going to change. Is it? Is anything going to change? We've pissed off Bobby Dwyer straight off the bat here. Says the United fan, this happens to Bruno and he's in hospital. I mean,
yeah, and United fans would say if Bruno does this, and by the way, he has done this, like gone down very easily. Like you're just like, get up. Like, as a United fan, I would hate to see Bruno Fernandes do that. I think Spurs fans would hate to see Harry Kane go down the way he went down last night. It's just like trying to get a player sent off. I understand that. Like, there is clearly an advantage for Tottenham last night if Doucouré goes off, but you still have ethics, don't you, for yourself? Do you want to look back on your career and have been that player?
No, these are footballers who made it to the highest level, Shane. That's what
true.
Part of the thing that separates them is their ability to practice repeatedly and do good quality practice. But then the other thing is this killer mentality, and that's what all of culture elevates above everything else: is kill or be killed. Right?
Nobody will blame Kane for going down within football. It's only us on the outside looking in. All his teammates say fair play for going down there, fair play for getting him sent off.
He looks like an idiot. He actually looks like an idiot.
No one's going to say that to him.
But then he got up and scored what should have been the winner. And everybody was like, oh, what a night Harry Kane had, managed to ignore the controversy, park it all, and still lead Spurs back into the Champions League. Now, they are back in the Champions League places, but it's looking a bit hairy for them at the moment.
Poor old Bobby Dwyer, he accounts for all but 3 of our live comments so far. I don't think he went to bed. Bob's telling me it's Don Goodman was on co-coms. Yeah, okay, it was one or the other. Google tells me it was Andy Hinchcliffe. But it ended up being a great game, and Michael Keane was central to everything. Gave away the penalty, was on the wrong end of the Lucas Moura challenge, and then that goal, that shot at the end.
Michael Keane was like Forrest Gump, when he has the photographs with all the presidents and the popes, and he's everywhere all at once, and he's been in every single world war.
There's also an amazing tackle in the first half that prevents a goal.
Yeah, he was all over the place. Like that, and the strike, you can kind of hear some Everton fans at the end is like, shoot. And he did, yeah. He does shoot. And
pinged it straight in.
Ridiculous. You never see that, when you see the fans shoot or screaming for a shot, last minute. Players rarely do it, but he just let one go, let one rip. He fancied himself, and what a strike. I mean, that point could be, because that takes them up to, 15th from the table? For Everton at the moment, when you see what West Ham won at the weekend, Forest won as well. Like, a lot of the teams... Drew, picked up a point. So a lot of the teams around them picked up points at the weekend, so it was kind of crucial that Everton, Sean Dyche got something on the board. So I think that point, who knows what it's going to mean at the end of the season, but it could be important.
That underdog couple that just keeps on giving. Tottenham Hotspur in 4th place, reunited again.
Back in.
They just can't keep their hands off each other.
Yeah.
2022-23, Spurs are 4th again after that 1 point display.
But
and then you had John Duggan, resident Tottenham fan, giving out on Twitter last night, what's this all about?
Well,
that's a point of Goodison.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it.
Okay, but they're not really 4th, are they? I mean...
Oh, yeah. It says here.
Yeah, it does say that. But everybody has games in hand.
United have 2 games in hand over them, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
They do, yeah. But would you rather your games in hand or your points?
No.
Huh?
The famous question. I also love how football fans never forget. Heung-min Son was getting tortured by the Everton fans last night for the tackle on Andre Gomez's ankle 4 years ago. I was like, why is he getting such a hard time? I looked it up on Twitter and I was like, alright, on Google. And it was like, yeah.
I was really looking forward to this game, Everton-Tottenham at Goodison a few years ago. This was 6-2, I think, to Spurs. And Son wreaked havoc. I was really, really hoping for a high-scoring Monday night game. But Lucas Moura, that's probably arguably going to be one of his last contributions for Spurs. I could see him leaving this summer. The man who got them to the Champions League final with that winner against Ajax. And that's the way it ends, potentially, or one of his last games. He's really fallen off the radar. But like Spurs, I was looking at it last night, and when it was 1-1, and Everton were really pushing for that winner. I think if the game had gone on for another 5 minutes, Bobby Dwyer would be even more exercised in the comments. I was watching this thinking, if I was Harry Kane, I'd move this summer.
Yeah.
Because where is this going?
Well, who knows? To get a good manager in, get a world class manager in who energises the place.
They've had world class managers.
No, they didn't. They did in Conte, yeah, but Mourinho was not a world class manager by the time he was there. Let's not get into this again because he was past it. He's been washed up. He was clearly washed up after his last stint at Chelsea. If Brighton win tonight, they'll go on to 46 points, which is 4 points behind Spurs in 4th. Are Brighton going to catch Spurs? Are Brighton going to finish above Spurs by the end of the season? So Brighton have 3 games in hand on Spurs and they're 7 points behind. So obviously they need to go on a great run of form to take them past Spurs. And they have a slightly better goal difference, which would obviously improve if they were to get up to that.
You have to laugh at Roberto De Zerbi getting linked with the Chelsea job now as well. It's like, come on. Do you think he's going to, honestly, do exactly what Graham Potter did and fall into that trap?
Fall into the trap of making 13 million in a payoff and 7 million in the 7 months that you were there.
But you get a certain amount of money, those lads, and then you're like, well, I've made it now. I don't, my kids don't have to work necessarily.
Not sure that's how human greed works, Shane.
No, but it's also, yeah.
The lessons of human history would suggest otherwise.
They like being in football too, though. They want to be relevant and talked about. Once they see their names come out of the newspapers, they're like, well, I'd like to get back there.
Potter's going to be linked with every job now for the next period of time.
He's going to be the new Sam Allardyce for a while.
Possibly. I mean, he should. If I was him, I would just move to Ibiza and have the crack.
With his £13 million, which is reported what he's received.
Yeah. I don't know, does he get it all in one go or do they just keep paying him for a period of time? So
that'll be the case with Brendan Rodgers.
There was a suggestion that he'd already made 6 or 7 million in the period that he was there. I don't know, is that possible? And then you forget that they paid 22 million to sign him from Brighton.
Yep.
That can't be right.
The most expensive manager in football history.
That can't be. This is like, oh my God.
10 million to get rid of Tuchel as well.
Imagine being an agent and Chelsea phone. You're like, yes, I will take your call.
Yeah.
Can I meet you now? I can meet you now.
Well, the guys on Sky last night were making the point that I'd say Graham Potter's probably relieved. Like when he first was told you are gone from the job, there was probably a sense of relief because that's batshit crazy. When you have 34 players, to deal with, egos, how do you pick a team there? I think he's probably sitting home now going, yeah, that was a bit mad. The sooner I get out of there, the better, probably, for my own reputation. Like right now, his reputation isn't great, but that's going to recover,
You know what this whole episode has really reminded everyone? That the Chelsea situation is so entertaining this season. Because I don't think we actually really honed in on it until Graham Potter lost his job. But if you look at it now, it's all coming out now 24 hours later. First of all, shout out to Bruno Salter managing his first ever game of football tonight against Liverpool. And then next week against Real Madrid in the Champions League. Fantastic. Also, the report in The Guardian this morning that Chelsea have so many first team players that they all can't get dressed at the same time in the same dressing room because there's no space. There's 34 of them in total. £600 million spent. 7 months later, Potter's gone into a 5-year contract. Amazing. And now you have the reported wish list of the Chelsea bosses. Julian Nagelsmann, number 1. Maurizio Pochettino coming in second. Pochettino has to go back to Spurs, doesn't he?
No, he's not
Sporting
going back to
manager.
Spurs said no.
Ruben Amorim is third. Eintracht Frankfurt boss Oliver Glasner, the reigning Europa League champions, in fourth, and Luis Enrique, the fifth choice. Not a bad shortlist.
No.
Not a bad shortlist. The doubts with Nagelsmann, 35, possibly too young for this.
Right off the back of Bayern as well.
And he doesn't want to take the job until the summer.
Yeah.
I think Nagelsmann would be a very, very interesting appointment to Chelsea. I think the ego is strong enough for him.
He's also worked with
personality.
He's worked with the hierarchy in the
past. Exactly. The
And
Chelsea sporting director Lawrence Stewart and the technical director Christopher Vivel.
that's going to be important.
At RB Leipzig.
Here's what's going up between now and 10 o'clock this morning. It is 7:45. Got the power rankings at 8:05 with Tommy Rooney. David Brady's going to join us to look back on the league and what it means for Mayo. And sometimes Mayo have won the league and been beaten by Roscommon the next week or the next game. Sports news with Carl at 8:50. Neda Manua is going to join us at 8:55, and then Matt Williams is going to preview Leicester at the weekend. And we'll bring you some Pat Nevin thoughts at around about 9:30 this morning. Back page headline on the Sun is the 42-year-old virgin, and that's to your point, Colm. Never picked a game in his life, never picked a team before for a match. Bruno Salter, who's you would say it's a baptism of fire, having to go up against Liverpool, and then also happened to go up against Real Madrid. Like, it's really, I don't know, do they understand? Rookie blues. Salter's in at the deep end. Is there any hope that he beats Real Madrid in a way that Potter couldn't have?
Well, he worked with Potter at Brighton, so he's learned off Potter, and maybe he's learned in what not to do.
Nagelsmann top of the list for Chelsea is the headline on the back of the Herald there for you. Kane storm, and it's a picture of,
Looks bad in the still, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's got his fingers in his eyes. What are you doing? What's all this nonsense you're talking about? Why wouldn't he go down?
Well,
like he was shot.
No, it was definitely a red card, but I think the way he went down was exactly as you say, like he was shot, and he wasn't shot. Just a claw in the face.
Nagelsmann top 5 strong candidate list for Chelsea. They're saying they're going to go through proper due process, and the list of people that they have potentially. Wake up before we Diogo. Man United versus Brentford. This is a big game tonight for Man United. Now their home form has been excellent, so it's no big deal, right? Big news in the rugby world. Josh van der Fleer out of the game against Leicester on Friday night. We'll have tickets to give away for that later on in the week, by the way.
I'm looking forward to the Villa Leicester game, I have to say. I've got. This is the most Colm Boohig thing I'm ever going to say, right? But I'm going to say it. 3 players, and this is one for the viewers as well. Only 3 players have hit double figures for goals in each of the last 3 Premier League seasons.
Kane, Salah.
Correct.
Jamie Vardy.
No. The third one is why I'm asking this, because I was quite surprised.
Ollie Watkins.
And Nacho.
Ollie Watkins.
3.
Kane, Salah and Ollie Watkins, double figures the last 3 seasons. That's pretty impressive by Ollie.
He scored in his last 6 away games, Watkins. Sure. Why won't you talk about Aston Villa?
Well, you don't want to tempt fate, you know. A lifetime.
Unbelievable.
A lifetime of having your hopes dashed.
They've got the momentum now, Jared, after the weekend, for sure.
Tim Sherwood, Alex McLeish, David O'Leary,
Remy Gard,
Gerard Houllier. I had forgotten about Remy Gard.
Do you remember when Dwight York went on Sky Sports to complain about Remy Gard being appointed and that he should be appointed instead?
I don't know why I remember his name.
I mean, he might have been right in the end.
Great history at Villa.
In the end, he might have been right. I had actually blanked Remy. I had high hopes that, we were going to somehow moneyball the French transfer market. At that stage, was Camoli not the director of football?
That Leicester Villa game in February doesn't seem long ago whatsoever. 4-2 Leicester, like a cracking game, and Rodgers is on a bit of a high.
One of those games where if Villa had won, we'd be like, oh, could they catch Spurs? But there was just a run there where things got away from them a little bit, and now they're back and they look good.
Well, what's the ceiling? What's the ceiling this season for them? Where can they finish?
Like 7th or 8th.
Yeah. Like, do you want Europa Conference League if you're an Aston Villa?
Well, I think if you have this manager, you want European football because he always wins the trophies that he's in or reaches,
turns out
the
he
latter
loves the
stages.
Europa League. Yeah.
Like, and that's good. You've got to get a squad built for competing on 2 fronts, and
Is Unai Emery showing up as Steven Gerrard, or is it simply a case that Emery is one of the best coaches in Europe?
I think both. Like 100%, Gerrard was not the answer.
In other words, was Gerrard that bad?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Gerrard was appointed.
Obviously, yeah.
He won the league with Rangers.
Yeah, I was going to say anyway. I could probably win the league with Rangers.
He couldn't. They hadn't won the league in 10 years.
I know, but
maybe you could, Shane. I don't know.
Didn't they?
Waves,
Didn't they get Celtic at a time when they were in transition, in between like having a
They were going for 10 in a row.
really good manager and then having a really good manager, and then they had Neil Lennon back for a while. Is that what happened?
Well, if
Who
you're
did he beat?
saying they're in transition and they were between good managers, but Shane just said anyone could win the Scottish Premiership.
Well,
no,
I
no,
think
sorry,
there's a
not
significant
diminishing the-
difference between Ange and the Celtic fans probably don't like Brendan Rodgers, but he was an excellent manager.
yes.
And there's a step down to Neil Lennon, so it goes high, low, high, and in the middle of that, Stephen Gerrard comes in and wins the league.
Yeah.
But did Stephen Gerrard really win the league? I know we had Tom English on. He's like, hang on a second now, you've got to give Stephen Gerrard some credit for that.
Some. But Ange Postecoglou was a much better manager than Stephen Gerrard, and there's no arguing that, you know. So Gerrard certainly had a good coaching team around him, I think, which helped.
Yeah. I just feel there's a lack of love towards Aston Villa on the show. We've 2 people on Team Off the Ball to do this, and we don't hear much of them. You know?
Yeah.
You should be excited. This was and didn't John McKean also hit the crossbar along with scoring a screamer against Chelsea?
Good time to be a Villa fan, you know. They just want to play it down. Are Aston Villa fans like Kerry fans?
I think there's a slight difference there in that Kerry win All Ireland every 3 years.
It's true, yeah, the
in their
success
history.
maybe levels aren't there, but the fan
Aston
base,
Villa not winning a trophy every 3 years.
playing it down, you know.
They won in Europe in the 80s.
I mean, look, it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. I think you should be proud of your boys.
I had an opinion on fans as well that I wanted to share. So I was at Croke Park at the weekend, and I had an interesting experience. Myself and one of the lads from Roscommon, Outingham here, but sure. Look, we had some, shall we say, rowdy Mayo fans around us who, every time Shane Walsh got near the ball, it was like, Dublin footballer, he's Dublin footballer, he's Dublin footballer. But I mean to the extent that like they didn't stop saying it. And then some unsavoury words towards some of the Galway players when they would miss shots, and every point and every moment, especially, I think Comer had the shot that was eventually put wide by the Hawkeye, and the Mayo fans were up, you know, in the face of the Galway lads. And the Galway people around me, I have to say, they behaved impeccably. Like, I don't know if I could have bit my tongue, but they sat there in quiet solitude. So I'm not saying Mayo fans are any worse than any other fans in the country, because every single county in Ireland has annoying fans, including my own. But I'm interested in people's opinions as to who you think the most annoying, let's say, GAA fans are in the country. Because it's only when you're out and about at matches that you witness some of this behaviour and you're like, Jesus, that's annoying. You know, I don't know how people bite their tongue.
I find the Waterford hurling masses quite objective.
Objective.
Not too bad. Not too polarising or too. I think they understand a good game of hurling.
Okay,
but I would also
come on, you're
say
being
this to you.
soft here. You're naming the good fans.
Why
I would also say this to you, Shane.
are you bringing Waterford up?
Every set of fans ever, in any sport, they're all awful. Because they're all massively biased towards their own team. So they can't be objective.
Isn't there something worse about the GAA fans who are actually going to see the people that they're abusing in person, like, really soon? They have a recognisable voice, and they're giving their own clubmen, in some instances, abuse. I find that a little bit like, what? He knows, he can hear you, you know, like you're saying really bad things about this person who you've watched grow from, like, you know, underage now to blossoming to the point where he's dedicating his entire life to do this, and you're
No
like,
money, essentially. Yeah.
why did you bring up Waterford when he brings up Mayo? Is that like you know, because if you were trying to sell us something, we'd be like, oh, he's selling us Waterford here.
Yeah. Well, I would say the same. I said
Do you
it
need
off
to be
air
careful
yesterday.
here? I think everybody just needs to know. Colm, obviously, he is a Cork man. You can tell from his accent, but he's married into Waterfordness. And now
See,
Shane asked the question, who are the most annoying GAA fans in the country? And Colm immediately starts to go,
said who's the least annoying?
Least annoying.
well, but did you mean the least annoying?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
You
was
said
the
objective
question. The
or
question
objectionable.
was, is there anyone, like, who's the worst? Or what was the question, actually? What was your question?
You're never getting to the in-laws again.
In people's experiences, who have
They
they
don't
found?
watch, it's okay.
Because I would say the Dublin GA fans at away league matches that I have met have been very knowledgeable and quite nice.
Yes.
Do you know?
That's what I meant.
So that, yeah, but I was talking about the other side.
Well,
of the spectrum.
I didn't go there. Like, that's what I do. You know, I try to get the positivity and everything.
I want
and
you
I
to
was
go.
like, well, who are nice fans?
Well, you're a Cork fan, so undoubtedly you'd have come across Kerry fans in their pomp.
Yeah. Like, I find it fascinating. I was at the All Ireland final last year, football, and I do find it fascinating what happens to human beings when the whistle goes.
Well, see,
It's just the worst in people for, in that instance, 70 plus minutes. You know, it's just like all impartiality's gone. All graces, all manners, just gone. You're just watching these people turn animalistic.
I love when a team wins. If you can win and lose with honour. I was at the Monaghan Dublin match last year in the league, where Monaghan obviously get the last bit of point to relegate Dublin and stay up themselves. And the Dublin fans around us, literally to a man, were shaking hands with Monaghan fans. Well done, well done. You know, I didn't see that between the Mayo and Galway fans the weekend. That's Chris has commented, top 5 most annoying fans in order: 5th Dublin, 4th Mayo, 3rd Dublin, 2nd Armagh, and 1st Mayo. So Mayo have appeared in his top 5 twice, and Dublin also twice, and Armagh have made it.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, Chris. I was at Cork, Dublin, Croke Park in football 2019. Dublin hammered Cork. Cork actually hung in there till about early the first half an hour anyway. It was the most patronising last 5 minutes of a game I've ever been to. It's like, oh, you're not bad, lads. You're not bad. Keep it up. You're not bad.
It's the patronising is the word, I think, for some fans. This is obviously a minority in any county, 100%. But there's a trend there, and there should be a scientific study done into it, I think.
I know. Let's generalise wildly.
Kilkenny are arrogant. Oof.
But you see, I guess that is again a psychological thing. Kilkenny are so used to winning, and Kerry are so used to winning that of course their fans are going to be a little bit arrogant. That's just, it's nature and nurture. They have to be arrogant because they're so successful.
Yeah.
I mean, if Monaghan had that many All Irelands, I'd probably be a little bit arrogant going to matches myself. But they don't, so I'm not.
Kieran O'Leary, as a Cork man, I find Cork fans a bit annoying, to be fair. P174, Clare fans. Can people explain why? Don't just name the fans, explain to it. Don't get us in trouble now, but like a reason for this, like, because we're just naming counties out there 9. But what, like, give us examples. I'd like to read those. That'd be good.
Yeah. It's just a phenomenon I notice at matches. Like, it's Mayo and Roscommon are going head to head this weekend, and I'm pretty sure those two sets of fans don't like each other. And I'm speaking in generalities again here. But there's two counties that... You know,
well, they obviously, there's a town that straddles the border. I think parts of the Mayo Roscommon, it's much more keenly felt than others, right?
Jer's showing his experience. Say nothing and keep saying it. David, I'm interested from a Kildare perspective.
Well, it's difficult because, you know, a lot of times no one cares about you. It's like you, I guess, Shane, a little bit, except you've obviously had some success. So, you know, I presume the Tyrone fans hate the Monaghan fans, and I presume the Monaghan fans hate the Tyrone fans and the Armagh fans.
Yeah.
Everybody has their issues with Tyrone for whatever reason. I don't know.
Tyrone's an island, you know. Well, they call it the island sometimes. You know that there is that siege mentality. But again, not putting them down. Maybe that's why they're so good and have been so good. 4 All Irelands tells a tale. So there's something in it. There's something in it. And look, there are lovely fans from every single county. But I'm just wondering what the higher...
They all have lovely bottoms, Shane. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but...
a little bit of Father Ted there.
But I think there are percentages in terms of the annoying fans.
And you're saying Mayo are at the top?
Well...
That's your experience in the weekend?
Certainly at the weekend, of the 4 counties that were present, Dublin, Derry, Mayo and Galway. You know, Mayo were the most vocal.
In much the same way that in The Sopranos, hell was every day is St. Paddy's Day, and you're stuck in an Irish bar. That's where Christopher Moltisanti, when he gets shot. For you, hell would be being stuck in Croker as Mayo win the All Ireland and end their famine. Every day, waking up and going and being surrounded by the Mayo people. That's your definition of hell.
Because that'd be a beautiful moment for Mayo fans.
Yeah, but you're stuck there every day, Groundhog Day.
Maybe just once will be fine. But yeah, no, seeing it on repeat. And I've nothing against Mayo whatsoever. In fact, the Mayo...
Is that not how this started? You're harbouring a grudge from the weekend for your treatment at the hands of the rough-hewn Mayo folk.
I was watching the reaction of my Roscommon mate who was really taking it to heart. But he was fine at the end of the day. The guy started tapping me on the back. Mayo scored a point at one stage, and he started tapping me like, "Oh, up Mayo!" And I just turned around and said, "I'm from Monaghan, man." And then he's like, "Oh Jesus, he beat us last week. I've nothing against Monaghan, men." So it was all friendly from that point on. But I mean, it was just...
You were cheering Galway though. Well, they were rubbing it in.
For people who aren't aware, I am 50% Galway. My father and my grandparents and cousins galore are Galway. Dunmore, to be particular. So
now people are getting it. ML89. Clare are like Newcastle fans. A group of people who think it's a big team that wins feck all and are very loud for no reason. And I'm 50% Clare, so I should get offended by that.
Okay, yeah.
Naturally, any set of fans when teams are doing well are going to be painful. Cork logic there by Kieran O'Leary, I'd agree. One lad with a microphone talking about Monaghan makes more noise than most Mayo fans.
Well, maybe, but like Nathan Murphy does enough talking for Mayo fans as well with the microphone.
Nathan's gone. P174, Clare fans bitter and think they invented hurling in 1995. That was the reasoning. Thank you. That's what I need to know, like, rather than just naming them. Tell us why.
Right. Keep this coming. Yeah, you can get in touch with us. 087 9180 180 is the WhatsApp number, or you can leave a comment in the YouTube stream. Did you have one last one there, Colin, that you wanted to get to?
In general?
Well, you were giving out, what was the grumbling off stage?
Someone has said Mayo or Spurs as well, which is...
No, I was just laughing at you moving on from this segment. But I did want to say about Brendan Rodgers, I feel very bad for him because the spotlight's gone completely off him because of Graham Potter getting sacked in the same day. And now no one's talking about Rodgers.
And he'll hate that.
And he will hate that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that in there.
He's the best candidate for some of those jobs, though.
He really is. He really, really is. Like, I'd be taking Brendan Rodgers if I was the vast majority of clubs in the Premier League. And he's such a good manager. The thing is, he runs out of steam. And also his teams can't...
When does he run out of steam, though?
Towards the end of his tenures.
How long is his tenure?
Exactly. I'm on your side here. But I'm just saying there's one caveat to him. Also, his teams can't defend set pieces. Can't.
I mean, look, I think the situation at Liverpool is very different, where they had the league in their hands and then they broke. We've seen the current Liverpool team with their world-class manager be a little bit broken by what happened to them last season, where they got so close but fell. So that you can see that there's a hangover. The situation at Leicester is completely different. They stopped spending money. They spent and they backed him, and he took a club to the brink of Champions League on 2 separate occasions and won a trophy for a club that has been trophyless. And that there's no way that you can say that he's run out of steam here without caveating that significantly to the fact that their money dried up for loads of different reasons. So anyway, 2 minutes past 8, we've got to go. OTB AM with Gillette Labs. Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night edition is available now. After the break, Tommy Rooney of the Football Pod.